Captain, as I didn't catch you during MACE 2022 for a long interview facing the brilliant hotel, so I have to do it in Zoom. Tell me first impressions after this year very successful edition of MACE.
Well, I mean, conferences like MACE are always very, very good for the industry. People can meet, discuss, even personality. Sometimes you write an email, you don't know who the guy is or the person is on the other side. So meeting in person and hearing diverse opinions is always good. That's the point as well, to hear diverse opinions. I mean, if everybody's going to agree on everything, it's no use really discussing and maybe even arguing. I don't see anything wrong in putting people in a conference and actually having different opinions and actually trying to convince others. So all in all, it was a very good experience. I think this was the third, right, or fourth MACE, basically. The fourth, yes, because one of them was online. They've all been good, and I think there's obviously a good push to keep this going for the next years.
Do you think it will grow even more? Because I saw a lot of people who entered the room and they were so surprised by how big it is. And when it was full of people, they were even more surprised, and they were walking and telling, wow, this is something we didn't expect. I mean, we knew that it's going to be interesting and there will be a lot of people and colleagues and so on, but they were not really ready to see that much and that big. So will it grow bigger?
Well, I think there are two lines of thought. One is the Americans say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So basically, you have to keep the elements which are good and which people are actually looking for. On the other hand, you need to change. You need to look at things. I mean, people who've been here for the 4 years or 3 years plus one need to see something new on the agenda. So I think it's up to the organizers to actually try and think outside the box and see what elements actually went down well, which elements might need to be either updated. I wouldn't even say corrected, because I don't think there was much to correct, but update so that topics raised, the way, the presentation, you can always change, and people will always look forward to that little bit of change.
One question I want you to tell us more. There was a lot of people talking about Malta's civil aviation policy being drafted. When it will be ready, and what should we expect?
Well, once again, you write a policy when you really needs to change. I'm not against policies. I think they're all always good. But technically speaking, could they also be bogging you down? I mean, we've had a free for all. We've just been out there listening and doing, without an actual maybe policy written down. We've managed to do well. We are at the top of our game, if I may say so, because obviously the amount of companies coming to Malta have been on the rise. The registry is on the rise. So really, it might even prove that you don't need something so elaborate to actually guide you. Having said that, you can always assess yourself, because a policy should also look at retainment. So if we're climbing up a ladder and we're at kind of a high level at this moment in time, you don't want to be complacent. You don't want things to be actually losing the trust we've acquired over the years. So I think at the moment we should be focusing on what we're doing right and how to keep it there. I mean, growth will come because of word of mouth. I mean, but I think it's retaining and keeping everyone happy, and the novelty of Malta doesn't fade out after a few years and people say, okay, this wasn't a great idea. It hasn't been the case, because we have customers who've been here for a very long time, and others have made so much a bigger move, which you don't think this is going to happen for a couple of years, because you wouldn't go through the hassle of doing an AOC, bringing over so many aircraft just for a couple of years, basically. But the policy is there is a draft policy, but I think that the policy shouldn't be a wish list. I mean, I can easily write down what I want and what I would like to see, but I think that the policy is more of a how to do the things, and that's the part which I really am interesting to see. Not just saying, oh, we want more AOCs, we want more aircraft. That's a wish list, not a policy.
Regarding the expansion of the airport, do you know exactly what you will do? And again, timing?
Well, I think that it's critical that it starts. This has been on the agenda and has been spoken of for at least 5 years, basically, at the moment. It's not an easy task because obviously there's land to be brought back in. There's reclamation. There's quite a few things that need to be looked at. But in the end, if we do need expansion inside the airport, because obviously AOCs and some activity can be taken outside of the airport. But if we want, and we do need some space at the airport, we need to start working immediately, because these projects usually don't happen overnight. They take time, planning and execution. So in my opinion, it's about time that we actually started. Maybe not all together, because obviously you might need to start bit by bit. Run-up area for engine run-up area is in my mind, top priority, because we have two huge MROs. We're looking at another one coming up very shortly. And we'd need some space where you can actually do proper run-ups without having to hinder the flow of general aviation or any other activity. So I think that's one. Apron space is another thing. We need a little bit more apron space. We are getting substantial amount of cargo flights coming in for maintenance or for paint, which might come in a couple of days prior to the start of the project. And I think these obviously need to have the time to be able to come and park and wait until their slot is met. So I think that apron space is being dealt with a bit by MIA, because they are actually embarking on project of Apron X, which should cater for wide body, allowing more space on Park 9 to be available for the smaller aircraft. But in general, we do need some more apron and the run-up area. Those are two critical elements in my opinion. The rest is some of it good, but nice to have rather than a must.
Now I will have a question regarding a topic you like, especially sustainable aviation. Honestly, do you think that the punitive way to push the industry is the right one, or we rather need to proceed with new technologies, letting the industry recover fully after pandemic years?
Definitely. I mean, the industry is on its deathbed. The industry currently is on a life-saving machine, and we have to take care of the industry, because after 2 years of COVID, it isn't in a place to be and obviously now with the war in the Ukraine, the prices are coming up. There's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. I mean, there is a particular item which people have not been speaking about, but which came about by the war, which is the insurance policies. Apparently, each insurance policy has a proviso inside it that states that in case of nuclear war or nuclear conflict, every policy will actually be nulled. Now, if you look at it, each airport, air navigation provider, and airline has this policy. So technically speaking, any incident of a nuclear nature actually will shut down, even if it's far away from the conflict, actually annuls every policy. Now, will this happen? Can something be notified? But these are the things that maybe people never thought would happen. Same thing, COVID. Nobody thought we'd have a total shutdown of airspace and borders being closed down. This is, I mean, had to talk to me about in 2018. I'd say, you don't know what you're talking about. But it became a reality. So I think we need to learn from these things. I doubt that we learned much from COVID, basically. We did what we thought we had to do. It was more political than based on science. In my mind, I mean, I can appreciate the politicians taking decisions, because they were sort of being told that people are going to die all over the place, and obviously that's the prime factor in these decisions. But we really need to put together something which assures companies that this is never going to happen again. We'll deal with it in a different way if there's another outbreak of some sort, because it was shown and proven that closing down borders did not really help. I mean, today everything's open, COVID is out there, still out there, but basically everybody goes about his life normally. So it's an awkward situation. Sustainability, taxation, it's not the right time for any of these. And I think that science has not yet been established. I mean, what we're talking about, the major gains will come from SAF. There are some countries who are actually talking about abolishing business jets, which isn't really what we need. We need to have better science, better research development, so that eventually, when we do find the right approach, the balance, everybody can do what they need to do and what they want to do and what they have money to do, but in a clean way. So I don't think that science yet has spoken. We're just trying to latch on to concepts which are being floated without looking at the consequence and how are we going to attain them. I mean, SAF seems to work as a product, but there's so many questions on how to produce it and how much we can produce, that banking and making it the holy grail of everything without having the other things in place is really, in my mind, not the right way to go.
I liked one sentence when we were speaking with MACE founders. They use it as a crystal ball to know what exactly Malta aviation, what is the future of Malta aviation. So I will ask you, do you have your crystal ball, and can you tell what we should expect from Malta aviation in general till we visit for the next MACE? What do you see will happen?
Well, I think it is since space, right? Yes, since space, I'm not sure whether or not it was there, and it's okay. We
No,
had
since
Eurowings.
MACE it was Eurowings, AOC, because
Okay,
guys were
but Eurowings
actually,
have now been given their AOC,
yes.
so that's post. So actually, that was to happen, and it happened. We finished another business jet AOC, but they haven't announced it yet. It will be announced this week, so I'm not going to say it myself until they say it. So that's not the one. And we have Challenge Cargo, who are on the stage as well, who are in the final stages of getting their AOC, but their project is much wider than just an AOC. So they are one to watch in respect to let's call it a sexy project. They're all good, but this one is a bit more fulfilling. And there's also another AOC being dealt with at the moment. So we do have
A lot of love.
a plan of action for the next AOCs. But all has to, I think they need to be linked into the airport development, because if you get the airport development, we can venture towards other things like MROs, 145s, and stuff like that. So I think the next years will be consolidation of what we've been offering. And I think, as we said in MACE, the 800 mark on the registry is something that should be happening somewhere next year.
Perfect. Did you get the additional staff? Because it was discussed during the MACE, and Minister promised they will do something.
Basically, staff we have brought in some, but we're still looking for obviously a little bit more, because staff in our respect should be based on the amount of business you're breaking in. So technically, it needs to be a flexibility that works automatically. So you lose someone, you automatically get someone. You have a new AOC, automatically get something. So I think it's the mechanism that needs to be looked at, because in fairness, that's what we need. Mechanisms that automatically trigger increase in staff according to the increase in business, basically. And maybe even the other way around, a flexibility that if you need to reduce your capacity, if there's a slowdown, you can do so without having the burden of maintaining people unnecessarily on payroll. So I think there's a flexibility proposal now, both ways, both for part-time and full-time staff, that works automatically. It's triggered automatically. That's what I think is needed, because in the end, you cannot just start the process every time that you just get a knock on your door for a new AOC, because if you go into the whole system, it takes quite a few weeks, if not months, to recruit, and people want to get their AOC within months and not wait for the inspector within months.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will look forward to do my part, what I can, to make the 5th edition of MACE even more interesting than it was this year. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward. I mean, it's already, looking forward to the next one, and soon we'll be there. There will be also a small thing that we're having in summer here. We'll be organizing the ECAC meeting for all director generals. So we'll be inviting all the director generals from all European countries to meet here in Malta and discuss topics. So in the end, Malta will be actually seeing all the director generals coming here in the end of August, basically.
Big summit. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Most welcome. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure.